1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, base blast, base blast, base blast! Steven, time for another base blast.
What do we got, man?
This time you actually might get blasted in a more literal sense, although I guess not really because it is a thought experiment only.
Oh, good. In a thought experimental sense. That's the only way I want to get blasted.
You're not on Twitter, right?
No. Wait, yes, correct, I am not.
So you are not aware of the current red pill, blue pill controversy. This is probably the most effective scissor statement I have seen in 2023. So this might go a little longer than a regular blast, but I'm going to try to keep it to 15 minutes still.
Well, let's make it 15 minutes and 15 seconds. What's a scissor statement?
Oh, a scissor statement, again, coined by Scott Alexander, because he's great at coining things, is a statement which, when you state it, just seems flat out obviously true to everybody who hears it, but half the population interprets it as obviously true in one way, and half the population interprets it as obviously true the other way. And when they look at each other, they're like, how can you have this obviously false, idiotic interpretation of the statement? The opposite is true, and they both just feel that way about the other one. They're like, are you trolling me? Like, what the hell is even happening here? This can't be real.
I really hope we come down on opposite sides of this scissor statement.
Let's find out. There's multiple takes on this statement. I'm going to try to hit the two major ones. Give me your initial answer after I say it, and then afterwards you can think on it harder and see if you want to change your answer, okay?
Sure.
Poll question. Everyone responding to this poll chooses between a blue pill or a red pill. If more than half the people choose the blue pill, everyone lives. If not, the red pills live and the blue pills die. Which do you choose?
I'm a cooperator. I choose the blue pill.
Okay, that is also my initial belief. Now think about it for a bit.
So let's see. Blue pill, it counts on half the people taking the blue pill. And the red pillars, they live no matter what. So I guess they're incentivized to count on everyone else defecting.
What is their incentive for other people to defect?
Because the red pillars don't die in either scenario.
So what is their incentive to make other people take the blue pill?
There isn't one.
Exactly.
My incentive to take it is because I would want to set an example and, of course, like be part of the group that wasn't involved in killing people.
You're not killing anybody.
Repeat the query again?
If more than half the people choose the blue pill, everyone lives. If not, red pillars live.
Yeah, I want to save the blue pillars too.
This is also what I chose initially, but then, like, before I actually clicked the button, I thought about it and I was like, wait a minute. There's literally no downside to choosing the red pill. If you choose the red pill, you just live and nobody has to die. Nobody has to risk death. Just everybody choose the red pill. This is not even a hard question. Why would you take the blue pill? The blue pill is literally just a suicide pill.
I see. So you're right. If everybody chose the red pill, nobody dies.
Mm-hmm.
If morons like me go with our intuition and say, well, I want to hit that critical mass of blue pillars so that the blue pillars don't die, we all die.
Exactly.
I mean, your case makes perfect sense. It just seems like it would be some weird Joker-like scenario that we could put in to be handed these bottles of pills, right?
Exactly. That is my problem with this question. But before we get to my problem, I want to rephrase it in two different ways that shine different lights on it. The first way is Roko's blender. And by Roko or Rocco, it is, yes, that Rocco that we're talking about.
Our best friend.
Yes.
Our Lord and Savior.
Rocco tweeted out, okay. There is a room-sized blender that kills everyone who steps into it. But if more than half the people answering this poll step into the blender, there's going to be too much resistance and it's going to fail to start. So everyone who steps in it will be fine. Obviously, if you don't step into the blender, nothing bad can happen to you. Do you step into the blender?
Well, that case presents itself more dramatically, right? Yeah, I wouldn't get into the blender room.
Why would you not get into the blender room? Don't you want to save the idiots who walked into the blender room for some reason?
I suppose if I looked in and it looked almost full, I might try to grab a bunch of people to pull them in there with me and hit that critical mass.
If there was just a few people in there, would you walk in to try to set an example for everyone else?
I don't suppose I can ask them to leave and go to the other room, can I?
I mean...
Not for the sake of the thought experiment.
I don't see why not. Like, my answer to the red pill, blue pill thing is look around and see if anyone is holding a blue pill near you. You're like, hold up a minute there, friendo.
Yeah, slap it out of their hands.
Don't take the suicide pill. Yes, exactly. I don't know if you can talk to these people or not. I would assume you have to not be able to, because as soon as you can talk to people, the entire experiment falls apart and everyone just chooses red.
Maybe that's the point of the thought experiment. The other thing to consider is, like, This isn't half the population. This is half the people who participated in this experiment, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's only going to kill the people who thought to partake and made the decision that I made, which was to go into the blue room or take the blue pill.
The original question is everyone responding to this poll. So people who opted into answering this question.
I guess you're red pilling if you're not responding.
That's true.
If you just like see people going into this building, one at the blender room and one at the red room, and you're just like, I'm going to go about my day, you're de facto red room.
There's people who don't think that the blender analogy is an okay analogy because I don't know. The only thing I can think of is that like blue pill is like, nice tasty candy. I might accidentally eat that. Whereas the blender's like, oh no, sharp blades. Obviously you don't go near there. And people are just operating on visceral animal instinct rather than actually thinking through things. But I mean, I guess some people do. The most inflammatory way I heard of someone putting this is like, okay, if you choose the red pill, then everyone who chooses the blue pill gets shot, unless at least half of them chose the blue pill. And I'm like, bitch, I'm not shooting anybody. Don't try to blame me for this shit. I just didn't choose to step in front of the gun.
There is the weakness of analogy there where, like, the pill thing sounds much more abstract, but stepping into a room with big, ready-to-spin blades is different, and it elicits different responses, I think, probably in everybody.
Yeah.
The fact that it does get such different responses means that there's something just analogous to the original situation, right?
Actually, I have my take, which I was going to end with.
Let's save it.
This one is from Lily, saying that this is not a compassion or rationality problem. It's a coordination problem. Blue is the correct choice because it only requires 50% of people to coordinate for everyone to live. If everyone chooses red, everyone lives. If only most people choose blue, everyone lives. Which do you hope most people will choose?
That, I think, is what I was intuiting when I gave my first answer.
Yeah.
It's the kind of thing that you wonder why anybody would take the blue pill, especially like with the blender room. Who would be the first one to step into it, right? Nobody. You'd have to look in and see that it's complicated and, only get 2 seconds to think about it. But with pills, you could surreptitiously hand somebody a pill without seeing what color they took or whatever. The room thing, when you can see the sizes of the groups, I think that's another big disanalogy there. Yeah, I like the idea that, look, if some poor schmo chose the blue pill for reasons, color blindness even, right? Mm-hmm. Like, all right, well, look, let's just get a sufficient volume of us to take the blue pill, and that way we save everybody.
This is also, I still hold kind of a personality test on how optimistic you are about the human race. Like, if I was in Russia, there is no way in fuck I would choose the blue pill. Because Russians are famously cynical and bitter. I don't trust them to take the blue pill. Similarly, if I was in Cheliax, I'd be like, no, I'm taking the red pill, because I know some people will take the blue pill, but there's no way in fuck it's getting to 50%, and therefore I'm going to die if I take the blue pill. At that point, it's just a question of, do I want to kill myself or not?
If you're at a rationalist meetup with 500 people, which one do you take? Right? Because we're the ones who would overthink this and all take the red pill, right? But I think the answer is like, it would just be nice if you could shout to the group, like, look, in case anyone took the blue pill, let's just all take it and we'll all survive. Wouldn't that be nice?
I would imagine, like, in a rationalist meetup, everybody would at least look around at their neighbors and be like, hey, that's a blue pill there. You don't want that. Do you really want that?
I think, honestly, at a rationalist meetup, people just wouldn't take strange pills that somebody handed them. But
yeah, absolutely. Not if they don't already trust them intensely.
But that ruins the thought experiments, so...
Yeah, the main reason for taking blue pill is the argument that, look, somebody's going to take the blue pill, either because they're dumb or they're on accident or something, and so we should all jump in there to help them out and help save them, which I think it's admirable. And I think this is what leads me to my take. I do think it's admirable to take the blue pill. I think society in general, the fact that most people would take the blue pill, that makes me very bullish on society. I am happy about this. And yet, I am intensely upset about this question, and more importantly than that, I am really pissed off at anyone who says that anyone who takes the red pill is doing something wrong or is a defector. A lot of people are saying, like, taking the blue pill is cooperating, taking the red pill is defection. No, defection has a specific meaning, and not risking my life so that people can be complete idiots. Calling that deflection is, like, inflammatory.
Defection. You said deflection.
Sorry, I meant defection.
No, yeah.
To me, it feels like when this question is posed, this question is created by blue pillars intentionally just to show off how altruistic they are and like be like, man, I'm such an awesome savior, aren't I? When they present this blue pill thing, what you're saying is like, some people are going to be tricked into taking the blue pill. They aren't going to be paying attention or something. They didn't read hard enough before they took the blue pill. So we have to all risk death in order to save them. We have just trapped someone into suicide, and now we have to force half the society to risk death in order to save them. And that really pisses me off. And it makes me want to vote red intentionally just to say, fuck you for setting up this scenario. You don't go around tricking people into suicide and then forcing others to risk their life for this shit. That's why I really like the blender question, because the blue pill, red pill thing, it works entirely on trickery and obfuscation. It's like, oh, whoops, I took this tasty blue pill on accident because blue is a friendly color and who knows, you know? Oh, my kid might accidentally put a blue pill in their mouth. Whereas the blender thing, like, it removes that obfuscation and that trickery, and you just plainly see exactly what the question is. And that's why I'm like, no, red pill, fuck you and your obfuscation and your trickery. Just make the scenario plain so that you aren't tricking people into suicide like this.
I'm trying to think of any sort of hypothetical real life analogy here. Like, if COVID had a universal 2% death rate, and the vaccine had a 1 in 100%, 1 in 100 chance of killing you, or excuse me, a 1 in 1,000, a 0.1%, right? I guess that's not quite the same, because then you're just guaranteeing that you have a 1 in 1,000 shot of dying. I'm trying to convolute some way where it's like, no, if sufficient people take the risk, then it stops being risky.
I don't think that works at all, because in that scenario, the people who take the vaccine are the red pillars. They're making sure they don't die of COVID.
Yeah, I realized I was trying to invent it on the fly. If I can't think of any way, it's like that's usually where I end up with thought experiments. If I can't think of any way to tie this to any borderline possible scenario, even like in principle, then I kind of just like, oh, that's a fun little thought, right?
Yeah.
I kind of just hand wave it. The teleporter problem or whatever, if you see it as a problem, that's like that actually could plausibly tie into real life, right?
You mean if we ever get a teleporter?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So like the circumstance whereby like the usefulness of the thought experiment bears fruit is like if we get teleportation. Where does this one actually bear out?
I mean, if people go around trying to Joker style trick people into accidental suicide.
That seems somehow more far-fetched to me than a teleporting machine.
Yeah. And I think in that case, the answer is to get a Batman to find the Joker.
Yeah, I mean, because it's not just that like you're tricking people into taking pills. Like it's also that you're giving enough people like the actual presentation of the problem, then getting them to accept a pill, and then somehow tracking who took how many pills, right?
Yeah.
That's interesting, though. I respect your stance. So when I called it defecting, I realized it's not quite the same as a prisoner's dilemma, right? Because in the if everyone red pilled, like no one actually loses anything. You red pilling doesn't increase the odds of someone else blue pilling. The only thing it does is make their punishment worse, which actually is similar to the prisoner's dilemma.
Wait, what?
If you take a red pill, it makes the odds of the blue pillers dying just that much higher.
Oh, I see.
I mean, I guess the main disanalogy is that you could just give the finger to whoever's offering you these pills, whereas you can't do that with the cops in the prisoner's dilemma thought experiment. So
right.
So you said this is starting some flame wars in the Twitter circles and the internet.
It is kind of glorious, the things that are happening on Twitter right now, yeah. Everybody's getting all up in arms. I'm assuming nobody is actually getting upset about it, because I don't see how you could get upset about this, aside from the way I got upset that someone would even pose this question and try to tar others as bad people for taking a red pill.
Sometimes that's an okay reaction of just like, you know what? Screw you for even bringing this up. This is silly.
Well, I mean, screw you for trying to make a lot of people look bad for no good reason. Because, again, in any real-world situation, if there's, like, someone at risk of death, pretty much everyone around is going to pitch in and take some risk of themselves dying in order to save the person, right? Like, this just happens all the time in our society, and it's wonderful, and it's why humans are wonderful, except for Russians. but
except for our awesome Russian listeners.
Yes, our awesome Russian listeners are, of course, on the other side of that equation. When you make these scenarios intentionally just to, as far as I can tell, just to try to shit on people, it annoys me.
I think one caveat that needs to be spelled out is like there is nobody taking these on accident, as was kind of like hinted at a couple times in this conversation. For the sake of the thought experiment, no one's accidentally taking the wrong one because it looks like tastier or something, right?
Right.
You have to assume that everyone's making an informed decision. Otherwise, like, this whole thing kind of just goes out the window. I think it's just more fun of revealing people's gut responses to these things. In the purely hypothetical thought experiment, I don't see why I wouldn't blue pill just to help the people who did, but it all depends on, you know, how informed am I? Like, how many people took these before me? What was the demographics that they were handed to? You know, like,
you say I would take the blue pill just to help the people who did. because you expect to survive. You expect you are helping the blue people and you're not going to die.
Right.
So it's not actually a sacrifice. You're not saying, I'm going to kill myself just to be there with the other people who killed themselves because it's better that way.
Hell no. No,
Okay,
that's why I wouldn't. That's why I wouldn't walk into the blender room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing. You're not actually making any sort of sacrifice here. You're just saying, like, look, everyone's going to pick the blue pill anyway. I'm going to look good and feel good about myself and not have to suffer any actual death.
I feel indignation at the accusation. So let me think about.
I said it intentionally inflammatory. I'm sorry.
Oh no, of course, yeah. But I'm trying to actually think about whether that was a fueling part of my answer, and I think it was just that I hadn't thought through the question. No, there's definitely some vibe in there of like, well, anyone who wouldn't take the blue pill is being selfish. That was definitely part of I think my initial gut reaction.
Same here. I think it's intentionally written that way to make you feel that way. Like, what? You would kill people just so that you don't have to have this tiny risk of dying?
What a beautiful, like, what this does do, if it's not like a thought experiment that like pumps intuitions about how you should work in real life or hypothetical real life, what it does do is reveal a failure of cognition. It does seem like the answer upon reflection is, wait, red pillars run no risk. Why the hell would anyone take a blue one?
Yeah.
Fuck that, I'm taking the red one. Yeah, it seems like that's the straightforward answer, given that you get a minute to think about it. So that's fun. That's delightful. I hope that this person who wrote this isn't getting any shit online, like, for having posed it.
Oh, I'm sure she's getting told to kill herself every few seconds.
That's why I'm not on Twitter.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I can't be party to that shit. That's a stupid response to anyone who's doing that. Knock it the fuck off. This is a fun little thought experiment. No one's making moral judgments on people about their answers. Just, lay back and have fun.
Man, I wonder how many times the person who initially put forth the trolley experiment would have been told to kill themselves if they put it forth while Twitter was a thing. I feel much better talking about this with you. For some reason, like, talking with someone in real life and hearing their voice tone just feels a lot better than reading something on the internet and being like, how dare you? I swear to God, I gotta just unplug my computer forever.
You're going to Burning Man in a couple of weeks, so you'll be away from that, and you'll be like, oh, I feel psychologically great. I wonder if there's any correlation there. And it might not just be the desert air that's making me feel happier.
I actually always do feel psychologically great, and I realize a large part of it is due to being unable to access the internet, and yet I do not apply this lesson to my daily life.
I'm not on Twitter, but I have all kinds of other stupid things that I'm burning my time on that I could put any sort of control on that I fail to, but...
I mean, but you're not on Twitter, so you're winning.
Well, I'm winning there.
But, like, then also I would have never found this red pill, blue pill thing, and if I go completely offline, there will be no more things to Bayes blast or Bayesian conspiracy about, because all of that is born from things I read online.
No, you make a compelling point. I'm not totally unplugged, but I think I am unplugged from anything remotely resembling a comments section. I think that's the difference that makes the difference there. It's like I'm on YouTube. To say that I'm on YouTube is to say I watch YouTube videos, right? Yeah. But I don't remember the last time I scrolled to a comment.
True, and Twitter is just the comments.
Twitter is just the comments thread, yeah.
Oh, God. No wonder.
The poll is fun, so I'm glad you found it. Thanks for taking that bullet for the rest of us who aren't on Twitter so that we could hear about it. All right, man, this is a good one. I appreciate it.
Thanks. Have a good day.